Jeroen, if you are at, in Dutch we call it kringverjaardag, if you are at a birthday and you had to explain to your uncle who is a non-techie what Eyeo does, how would you explain that? Maybe that's a good starting point.
It's a good starting point. Well, essentially, I can explain it a bit with an example. Mm-hmm. So, first of all, who here has this kind of thing? So, who here uses this more to take pictures or make movies than to actually call? Everybody. Essentially, the reason why people buy a phone is because of the camera. Right? And to make the camera better, you actually see what they did the last 10 years. If you would put a phone 10 years ago compared to now, what has changed to the camera? Pictures. So it all became bigger. And now there is this big thing sticking out. The camera became bigger, so it's like 3-4 times bigger than it was 10 years ago. And the main reason why they did this is not because they want to, because that's the opposite of what a smartphone maker wants to do. It has to be small. The reason why they did this is because if you have a bigger camera, you just have more light and you make a better picture. That's really the fundamental thing of it. Now, if you then would go into the camera and you would look at the sensor inside, the way to make a color picture is by filtering light. So what they do is they put green, red, blue filters on the sensor, and each time you only keep the green or the blue or the red. So you throw away the 2 other colors each time to detect something. So it's quite inefficient, and that's the reason why they have to make it 3 times bigger than actually is needed. So now we have a technology, it was developed in IMEC, it's using photonics. There's photonics before. It's using photonics to split light in color. Now we bring it to the sensor, we don't lose any light, so we have all the light, and this camera now can actually become 3 times smaller again for the same performance. And if you're then an investor, what does that mean? Well, for these guys, iPhone only, they could save $14 billion per year if they make these cameras 3 times smaller. So that's basically
impressive, I guess. You're talking about smartphones now. Is it also like the sector or the application you see benefiting most from what you develop, or is there other applications?
Yeah, so it's essentially across the board. So every color camera has this problem today. Smartphone, of course, is a very obvious example. It's also the biggest market. It's where we eventually want to go to. Mm-hmm. But you can also see it in other applications. If you have, for example, action cameras, having more light means you can actually have faster imaging. Maybe you want to have applications where you have low light situations in the dark. Mm-hmm. So we can actually start making pictures with full color in the dark, where now it's gray, black and white. If you have a ring camera at home, the moment it gets a bit dark, you don't see a lot anymore on the picture. Now it becomes a very clear, color, full picture. Mm-hmm. So it's across the board. We are going to smartphone, but our first step is not smartphone because it's not the easiest one to get.
Okay.
So we're going to pick one of the other applications, and it's already, let's say, in development.
And which one would that be then?
So it's more industrial.
Okay. Okay.
Where color and sensitivity is really the key.
Yeah.
But also the market where they're still willing to pay also more. Mm. So it makes our life a bit easier in the beginning.
And your technology more known and more invested. Yeah. Okay. Eyeo Imaging stands on the shoulders of a lot of research done at IMEC. I'm sure we're here at the TU campus. There's more startups maybe trying to get all this research into how do you build that into a company?
Yeah, it's a very interesting question. So let's say indeed. So we spent 5 years in IMEC, more on the research side, figuring out more the fundamental part of the technology itself. But then at some point, if you want to bring it into a company. Mm-hmm. At that point, it's not anymore about, let's say, finding the edge of the technology and what's physically possible, and then write a paper and get a peer-reviewed result out of that. Then it's about making a product that your customer is actually willing to pay money for. Mm-hmm. And so, let's say, the challenge is completely different. You have to imagine at that time that your customer, they probably have a perfect solution today. If you look at the phone, we have a camera, so it's
we
not
are
that
happy already.
They're stuck with it. So you have to really make a product that convinces them to change from what they know to something new. And let's say your technology is definitely a benefit, but there are a lot of reasons why they wouldn't change. And so you really have to overcome. Actually, for me, always the question changes completely from you have the best possible technology to now you have to make something that is good enough, but also adoptable and that they want to pay money for. And it's really a different question. And that's the transition you have to make. So at some point, I think you have to bring in people with experience from the industry, with product knowledge and focus, and then you have to start finding the complementarity between the two.
And where in this transition do you consider Eyeo at this point? Like you raised a lot of money already, and
so let's say and there's probably I think some similarities with the DPD110. So in IMEC you have the phase where it's more scientific research part. Then at some point I came in actually as let's say to spend a year as an entrepreneur, looking at the technology, building the business case, and actually bring that product focus into it. Then it's about building a team, because there's no way you can do this alone. So you have to surround yourself with strong people with different skills. And then you need a business case with customers that already show signs that they are willing to buy your product, and only then you can actually start raising money. Based on the technology itself, it's very difficult to raise this kind of money.
Yeah. How difficult like we said already, you raised 50 million in May.
Yeah.
How difficult was that? What were the key factors that attracted your investors, or
So I wouldn't say it's an easy journey.
Never is, no.
Never is. First of all, so I think there is a very bold but still probable vision. So eventually I can go into this, and that's very appealing. And we're really completely disrupting that market. So you need a vision, but you also need the credibility. So that means you need a certain technology. It has to be well protected with IP. But at the end of the day, especially in the beginning, an investor invests in the team. Because it's the team that will have to make it happen. And so I think a crucial part in it is you have to have really the right team that can actually make it happen, because the technology itself will not sell. The customers, they will not just call you. I mean, you really have to establish the company with the team.
Was this something you were aware of before starting the team, or was it something that you realized during the process?
I think you realize quite quickly that it takes a lot of different skills. Nobody can do this alone. I don't think it's healthy either. You need also sparring partners, but you need different skills. I think the sooner you realize that you need help, that you need other people to help you, the better. And actually, I also noticed it. So once we had the founding team really on board, really then we accelerated also on the investment side. So before we talked a lot, but once the team was in place, then
it became easier. But then it's a bit of chicken egg story, like how do you get a good team of founders and then with not a lot of money yet, so
so I think as a founder, especially if you're in it from the beginning, telling your vision, getting people on board, whether it's an investor or an employee or a supplier you want to work with or a potential customer, like you will be pitching not only on investor events but continuously.
Also for colleagues.
To everybody, and you have to convince every single step, every single person to join you in your crazy idea.
So this is an important event then, to pitch and to like network. And
you're always pitching.
Always pitching as a founder, all right. What would be, if there's, I don't know, founders who hope to raise 15 million one day here, what would be your best tip for them, except for a good founding team then?
Yeah, so I think we covered a few elements.
Yeah.
I think dare to be bold. Believe in yourself and the technology in your team. Let's say I'm from Belgium, so we are even more, shy than in the Netherlands. But I think, even more. But if you compare it to the US, the US there is the biggest dream possible, and say the content is very limited. So I think I dare to be bold, believe in yourself. But actually, the most important step is just to go for it, do it. And don't. Let's say what I sometimes see is that if you have a backup plan, so if you start pitching with, okay, maybe I'll do this, but in my back I still have a backup solution and I can still go work at ASML. Then you're not all in.
Nee.
So I think once you decide to go for it, you have to be all in, and this has to be the only outcome for you.
Gather a good team of founders. You're always pitching and be all in, and
Yes.
then you probably.
And then the check comes.
And then the check comes. Okay, that's a promise then. Is there anyone from the audience who wants to ask a question now? There's of course also room to address Jeroen afterwards, but I don't know. Maybe there's someone.
Yeah. What about infrared with your technology?
Yeah. So you can design the splitters also to split in infrared ranges. We focus on the visible because it's a more appealing market. But yeah, we can also do this splitting infrared.
Other questions? Yeah.
And what is your runway with this money?
Probably shorter than. But let's say it's about 2 years. Okay. Let's say also the non-dilutive part will then extend it, but you will have some hiccups along the way. So 2 years
Maybe, yeah.
is the range, but to be honest, we're already pitching for the next round to be ahead of the runway.
Just following up that question, maybe to end things here, can you tell a little bit about the timeline? So your runway with this money is 3 years, but where do you stand in 5 years, let's say? What is
So let's say first big step will be summertime next year. We will have a first evaluation kit with the first product actually that goes to customers. We already have a purchase order from a customer. That's quite quick. Let's say in 2 years from now, we really want to have a product that we can scale in volume for those first customers. In 5 years from now, we should have the next generation of the product already in hands. So what we're pitching for now is actually to establish us as really an image sensor company in Europe that is going to really compete with Sony, Samsung, and big players.
Cool. Thank you so much, Jeroen. Maybe an applause from all of you.